It's a good day. Came
It
off
is.
came off Veterans Day, which was just
Veterans
an
Day was
amazing
special.
day. We had a great weekend of went to the Marine Ball and actually got to watch TCU Horned Frogs beat University of Texas.
Yeah, man. I saw the scores, and I wasn't shocked just because TCU's on a roll. They're maintaining their undefeated status, and they're trying to get them a national championship. We'll see if they
It
can
would
make
be
it happen.
good, man. They need to run the tables on everything. I think they got Baylor this weekend, and they got Iowa State, and then they probably have the Big 12 championship. So they got to
Yeah,
run the tables on these next three.
yeah, I agree. On this real estate, we're just wrapping up our market report. And are you shocked at this? Do you see what I'm seeing? Dallas County, single family, 1.9 months of inventory.
I mean, we've been trending. I mean, that's not. I mean, it's not out of the ordinary right now. I mean, that's where we've just seen the inventory struggles since 2020. I mean, that's really where those struggles were, and it hasn't stopped. I mean, I'm not surprised by it because we have so many people that are moving here. We have a obviously a great economy. We have the taxes for those state employment taxes. There's just a lot of reasons why, and then just our overall just awesomeness for being in the DFW Metroplex in the state of Texas. No, there's a lot of reasons why people want to move. Climate, just a myriad of things, and companies are moving here at a fast rate. So it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me because of the number of first-time home buyers that are in the market at 34 years old. I mean, even though birth rates, were dropping, we still have a significant number of individuals that are entering that first-time home buyer age that have the ability to purchase a house, and it's just continuously driving the inventory down. And then you did have the ones that did get the rates in the ones and the twos, making it a little bit harder for them to exit that house, and not just exit it from a sales stamp or a moving standpoint. They have moved. Some of them have. They just kept it as a rental property because the payments are much lower, and they can rent it out and make a nicer return.
Yeah. I've got to say, I thought, and a lot of us thought, that with the interest rates being in the 6s and 7s, we thought that would make the inventory grow into at least a balanced market. I think DFW is showing again right now that it's weathering the storm. DFW is a resilient market because this is it's a destination market. We are not talking about a second home market, like, for instance, the Gulf Coast, where you're going to buy rental properties. This is a destination where people are looking to move for the good schools and the best quality of living, quite inexpensively by comparison to the coasts. And it's just showing again that these values are going to go back on the rise sooner than I think we were expecting.
Yeah, just go back and look at the last crisis we had, in 08, 09, and that's where you saw a significant pullback in home values, right? That's the one time we really saw that, and we didn't really experience it here in Texas or the DFW Metroplex. We saw it in Florida, we saw it in Michigan, we saw it in Cali, where they had these big spikes of value, and we're just, we're the tortoise in the race, man, slow and steady. Right. Our market continues to appreciate. It just is appreciating at a little bit lesser of a rate than what we had over the last several years, but it's still appreciating. And I think that's the big attraction, and why we will continue to struggle with inventory, which makes it great for both buyers and sellers when you get into this market. I mean, it really does.
Right, because it's not like so little amount of inventory, like less than a month, that we were experiencing in 2021 that stopped buyers from being able to get a home they wanted in their first 10 offers.
Right. Yep.
So there's just enough inventory, and the days on market is such. 20, 30 days where people can actually go out and conduct a second showing. Remember the days when people wanted to think about it? I want to think about it. Like 2021 was like, no, there is no thinking.
Mhm.
Like, make your offer now and make it good.
Which isn't really fair. I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
that
it's the market
stunk.
we were in,
That
but it was
stunk.
hard.
That was not like, I didn't love that market. We had lots of buyers that we had to, in order to get them into a home, go tens of thousands of dollars over asking price. And I'd like to not go back to that. And I don't think we will see that again. That was a perfect storm with the super low interest rates. And it was just the perfect storm.
You had low rates, and then you had all of the companies really getting into the mode of, let's allow people to live anywhere and work for our company. So we had low rates, and then we had a huge, more than normal, an influx of people moving here, because companies from all over the place were saying, yeah, if you want to live in Texas, Dallas, DFW, and work for my company in New York, that we're perfectly fine with that. Right. And we saw that movement of work from home at a rate that we weren't expecting buyers into our market.
It's true. And just to piggyback off that, and we'll get you into your mortgage update, Bob. We have Guillermo Mata, who is asking this question. There's a lot of Chicago, New York, Atlanta, and Florida migrants heading to DFW. Does it feel the same maybe as it did in the past? And he's a tad bit worried about that. And he lived in Dallas for 5 years ago. Guillermo, thank you so much for chiming in. When you jump on 635, the tollway 75 or what have you, it feels different than it did 5 years ago. There's no doubt. I think where you can see it is on the license plates, and in rush hour traffic, and
driving styles.
Driving styles are funny. I think. Did you catch that, Bob? You, me, and Skylar, we apparently are like floor to the pedal to the metal type of drivers.
It's because we're Texans.
Apparently, like, we drive too fast. But no, just to be serious about it.
I drive with purpose.
I drive with purpose as well.
Yeah, I like that.
It does feel a little bit different, Guillermo. I would say that you can feel the tens of thousands of new residents here. I would say that it's a flat out yes. It does feel a little bit different.
I would say, being here since '93, I have seen it change quite a bit, but I would almost say for the better, because our infrastructure with our highways, like 635 was a beating, right? It's been a beating for a long time, but once they got the dual up and lower, all that built out, now it's a toll. You got to pay a little bit to go, but I mean, I stay on that all the time because there's really no traffic down there, and you have traffic on top, and I can be on the bottom, and I go, and you got to pay to play, but I don't feel it as much on 635 as what I had, when it was 93 to 2000, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was some tough times.
Yeah. Sorry, Skylar, real quick. I will say to Bob's to piggyback off what Bob was saying, I think all the different areas have done a good job, for the most part, of building the infrastructure to accommodate the extra residents. Unlike a lot of parts of the country, which we don't have to live there to know it, they're not good at building the infrastructure to grow. Right? So go ahead, Skylar.
So as far as the change, yes, the growing pains with having more cars on the roads, with having more houses. But I do feel like there are aspects that are inherently, like, I guess, part of DFW that have kind of stuck. You look at all the people that have come here and how quickly they adopt that Texas, that like pride Texan mentality. I wasn't born here, but I got here as fast as I could, and really embrace Texas culture. And so I do think that there's an element of it that hasn't changed. Now, as far as I saw you said on there, it was cozy 5 years ago. It just depends on where in the Metroplex you go now. You can go to outskirts, you can get to where things move a little bit slower. But the good news is you have your options. And I think growth is important and change is important to a certain degree, and it's just healthy.
Yeah,
So.
I'll say one thing though with Texans, what hasn't changed is we still don't know how to drive in rain or snow or ice.
No, we still don't know what precipitation is.
No, hey, and you know what? And it doesn't make sense when it does snow or ice or sleet or what have you. We don't have I don't want to call them Zambonis, but like the snow plows or what have you, because we don't need them. It may not even happen once a year. I would say that we should, like every city should. They should have that in the budget, right? Have one, right? I think that's one thing we got to work on because we're approaching February really quick, and I think we know what to expect with February. It's going to freaking ice. Yeah, there's going to be ice at some point in time in January or February, and that's the part I don't understand. Like, buy yourself a snowplow. What we do, for those of you that don't live here, is we salt the roads. And essentially, we turn the roads completely into slush, which make it a little bit more dangerous to drive on. And no, we don't know necessarily what to do with the small amount of snow that we get when it arrives.
Well, it melts and then it refreezes overnight, and then you have black ice.
Black ice is a son of a. Oh my god!
We have a better system at this point. But
that terrifying black ice crash in Fort Worth 2 years ago was horrendous, where an 18-wheeler could not stop. I mean, goodness gracious. Yeah, we've definitely got to get that figured out. We have extra guests. Skylar's cat has showed up.
This is our cat room office. So yes, she's here. Every episode you'll see me pushing her.
Bob, tell us what's happening in the world of mortgage. It is Monday, November 14th. Siri's about to talk to me. I don't know why she does that. Tell us what's going on, man.
Well, I mean, last week, bond markets and the interest rates got some really good news. I mean, just before Veterans Day, which was pleasant. It's a good surprise. Mortgage bonds rose sharply in response basically to a softer than anticipated CPI report, which basically just showed inflation was beginning to moderate, right? And the report showed year over year, and inflation declined from 8.2% to 7.7%, which was a whole lot cooler than what we anticipated of an 8%. So that was great. So at that point, we had a pretty big jump in mortgage bonds, but that basically brought the interest rates down from roughly 7.125, let's call it, down into, let's say, 6.625, 6.5, right? So we got a pretty big, nice gift on Thursday of last week. Today's a little bit different of a story. Stocks and bonds are both lower to start the day. Bonds are currently trading about 44 basis points lower than where they were on Thursday, and that's not a huge surprise after the fact that we had a 206 basis point increase on Thursday. So it's kind of natural to get some pullback from when you have that large of an increase. Basically, what that means is today you can get the same rate as what we were offering on Thursday, but it just may. And if it was costing you zero on Thursday, now it's going to cost you, $1,000 to $1,500 potentially to get that particular rate, or you could go up 1/8 of a point and get that next rate for no cost. We're having a little bit of a slide this morning just because Fed Governor Chris Waller spoke in Sydney, and he said that it's good to see evidence of inflation coming down, but the Fed would need to see continued decline before the Fed thinks about taking their foot off the economic brakes and rate hikes. So basically, it was good news, lower inflation than what we had expected, but we're not really still seeing the lag or the impact that the Fed's going to take in the upcoming Fed meeting. So we're giving a little bit of that gain from Thursday back.
Well, that's interesting. So some of our buyers that are on the fence right now, I suppose I'll ask you to give them a 1 second, a one sentence, either glimmer of hope for locking their rate on new construction, or perhaps holding off. People that are making their purchases, perhaps they can waiting until the new year. Mortgage wise, are they safe to lock?
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on what their window of close time is, right? I mean, we pretty much on Thursday, it's optimistic, right? You're taking these opportunities. You're saying, look, if we got that kind of pop on one day and you're not locked, we need to lock the rate, right?
Okay.
So Thursday, we lock a lot of people within our pipeline that are closing in that 30, 45, 60 day window. The build jobs are a little different just because we got to make sure the house is going to be finished or understanding what the risk is for extension costs. So, doing a 4-month lock, I mean, that was the time to do it again. If you're closing within 3 to 4 months, you should have pulled the trigger on Thursday. But that doesn't necessarily mean we're not going to gain a little bit. We're not going to be better coming up. It's just you got a great day. You take your gain, you take your great lock, and you move on and don't look back.
Well, I think one thing to point out is the difference in mortgage payment per point, if you will, right? And for instance, on the real estate side, every $10,000 right now makes a difference of what? $40 to 50, maybe $60.
Yeah,
about $60. So every $10,000 for all of our viewers out there, a simple math that we like to do on the realtor side, not Bob on the mortgage side. We like to tell people every $10,000 makes up about, in this market, $60 per month. And we equate that from market to market by saying, if you look at the interest rate, if you multiply that times 10, and so if the interest rates are 60 or 6, we'd say 60, and that would be the $60 per $10,000 price increase or decrease or what have you. Right. One of our viewers is asking, will the unexpected split control in Congress help with investor confidence and bond market, or will it cause further volatility?
No, it should help. I mean, with split, that just means, one side or the other can't just spend at free will, which would hurt inflation, right? So we like to see split in government, just because it does have a little checks and balances. So one party can't overdo on anything, right? So it's a good thing, and that's where we're looking at, like, the Fed meeting in December. We've been increasing it about 75 basis points every time, right? And this time we're anticipating a 50 basis point increase just because of some of the comments that came out of the Fed meeting, the CPI reports, everything else that's coming. That's where we're at. And then we're already starting to get some projections into next year as to, at least, the first meeting or two, if we're going to see 25 or 50 basis points, because it's too forward looking out there to forecast into, the meetings in the summertime and stuff like that. So,
yeah. Now, tell me this part on mortgage, and is our one of our viewers asking, as someone locks their rate and then they drop, what's protocol after that? You drop into the lower rate, right?
Yeah, it's like buying a stock. If you bought the stock at $20, and then the next day you could buy it at $10, you can't go back and undo the $20 you just bought it for.
I see.
Right. Okay. So once you lock, you've locked in a rate, and they've secured that instrument, that security instrument on the backside for that particular loan. Now in my dealings as a broker, what I work on is the relationships that I have with these lenders. So I go to them and say, hey, any chance we can renegotiate so my client doesn't, need to go somewhere else to get the loan. Yeah. And they sometimes will renegotiate if the market has changed as much as it did. And if it does, then that's great. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. If I can't get the renegotiation, then I have to evaluate what I call my lock through percentage with my investor, have an honest conversation with him and say, look, I'm going to lose the client because they can go somewhere else. Right. And it's an unfortunate situation, but this is the reason why I'm a broker. I'm going to have to take the loan from you and I'm going to lock it somewhere else for that lower rate if you're not willing to renegotiate. if you got a good relationship with the lender, they're going to try to help keep it because nobody wants to lose the deal, right? But in instances where you're working with somebody that's not a broker, it's just they got one shot, man. That's it. And so when you lock, you're locked.
That is good stuff. I love the fact that we've got so many people. Thanks to our viewers for chiming in, and we've had a few of you, and even one going back and saying that Dallas puts down sand, not salt, when it snows. I don't remember that. I remember salt back in the day, and even I say back in the day, but even recently. So maybe some places are putting down sand today. But let us move on to our home of the week.
Woo, that's nice.
Isn't it? This is right around Lake Louisville, 605 Melody Lane in Lakewood Village. All right, and see, this one is listed shade under $1.6 million. It's a 5-bedroom. It's got 7 bathrooms, 4 full and 3 half bathrooms. An interior square footage of 6,391, and it sits on a beautiful acre. I want to see this video real quick.
Yeah. I love the porte cochere.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh yeah. That's a great outdoor living.
You know what they did, and this makes a lot of sense. That obviously is not the full acre. They've just gated in their pool area. A lot of times these acreage properties go beyond what people want to use day in, day out, and so there may be an extra perimeter gate or fence around the rest of the property.
I think city ordinance in most places requires that your pool be fenced in as well.
Oh, that's true. Let's move on to some of these pictures.
Yeah. Oh, I see a staircase. It looks like a prom staircase.
I like those staircases.
Tell me this. Tell me this. There's a lot of Texas traditional going on here. But there's also a hint of goodness. Yes, I love it. That's great elevation. The brick and the stone. I mean, there's a lot of elegance with this Texas traditional here.
Yeah.
All right. I mean,
I love those high pitches and those turrets. See, again, it's a prom staircase. Like every magical movie moment, you have a staircase like that. That's all I can think about when I see those.
And you notice you had the Rapunzel hair drop right here as well, right? Except, like
a little Juliet balcony.
Yeah, the Juliet balcony. Yes. I will. My daughter will never be in a room like that. Just it's not happening.
No, that would not be good.
This house is move-in ready, and then some.
Beautiful.
The colors are right. Hey, Skylar, you're our resident professional stager here. What are we expecting with the grays and the whites? Is this just a trend, or is this something that's going to stand the test of time?
I mean, I think anything can be a trend, but I do think that the grays and whites as a entry point are here to stay. So obviously we're getting into a lot more moody colors. We have those dusty roses, blues, black is trending a lot, but I feel like that can also become very taste specific. It just depends on how it's done. These grays and whites they reflect a lot of light, which obviously, brightens up the room. It makes it feel a lot more spacious. So to me, I feel like they're here for a while. As like a neutral entry, if we were recommending to someone to neutralize something, because these trendy colors are that, I do think that some of the colors are very, very trendy and will come and go in a much shorter time span than these grays and whites, in my opinion. But this is also more like greige, not totally gray, not beige. It lives in that land where it can be a little cool, a little warm. It just depends. It's a chameleon color. It plays really well with furniture, with other color palettes.
Yeah, I will say this. New construction from 2005 to 2015 I remember when new construction, they were just, painting everything white. But then that moved over to that kind of taupe, if you will, like the beige.
It was
And
like a yellowy beige, I feel like.
Yeah.
I never wanted to call it that, but I think you're right.
Like relative, I mean, color is relative, but relative to what we're seeing now. We're seeing a lot more gray in it than we were before. Where before it had a gold undertones.
Yes.
That's a good looking room there.
Yeah.
It is, right?
Is that a media room?
That's a media room beyond the game room. And this is a proper game room with, this house is gorgeous. It really does have everything.
I love that closet.
Bob, tell us.
Look at the beams.
I would need a lot of furniture to finish this one.
Yes.
That's
Yeah, it's 6,400 square feet. I think it's
Yeah.
a big home meant for entertaining, meant for a big family.
Now, tell us how much this home would cost on the East Coast or West Coast. Let's just say we had Kelly on from Washington State. I think this home goes for $1,200 a square foot, $1,500 a square foot in Washington State.
It's ridiculous.
It's wild because this is newer. It's obvious, right?
Yep.
Built within the last 20 years, and this is under 2 million, and this doesn't even touch. This is over 6 million in a lot of other places.
Yep.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
What's happening on the financing on a lot of these? Second, do you have to do a deal, a good share of the second loans, Bob? You know how people will go with a first and then a second.
Yeah, you could do it. Yeah, I mean, like what's called an 80-10-10.
Okay.
It's where you
one of the 10s is the down payment. Yes.
Yeah, one of the 10s is a down payment, and then there would be a combination second lien of 10% behind it to get the first lien at an 80% loan to value. The individual, the buyer client would make payments on the first lien at the 80%, and then they would also have a second lien payment that they'd have to make. Which most of those second liens, I mean, they're over 15 years, so your payment's going to be a little bit more on that part, but it would get you in for, a 15% or 10% down payment. Most of the time at this price point, though, when you're getting 1.6 and above, I mean, they're putting 20% down minimum. I mean, they probably they sold a house, something has come up, and they got a couple $100,000 that they're putting towards their next upgrade, their next big purchase. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing most times, 20% down financing, 80% at least loan to value on something like this.
Good information. I want to zoom out here just to show everyone where this is. This is Lakewood Village, which is essentially Little Elm. Don't get mad at me, peeps, if you're over there, but it is. And but it is.
Yeah.
not far outside of downtown Dallas. I would say we have to stop using the term how many miles outside of Dallas, because Dallas lines go way out here. If we were going to use that, it's only a 20 to a 30-minute drive outside downtown, out of Dallas. The end of Dallas ends right around the Carrollton area here. So I like to use the term outside of downtown Dallas. It's a 50-minute drive to downtown Dallas, another 50, maybe even 40-minute drive, because you could easily get over to I-35 using the Lake Louisville toll bridge to get to DFW Airport. So 40-minute drive there, 55-minute drive to downtown Dallas. And if any of you want any more information about this listing, be sure to text the word Melody to 972-746-9360. We want to thank Crystal Gonzalez and Sotheby's, Bridge Freeman Sotheby's, for their home of the week. Bob, we appreciate you, my friend.
Well, thank you very much, as always. Enjoy being on every week. You got some great homes, and obviously provide you always have great content to the people. So that's super important. I appreciate being on a part of it.
Have a good week, my friend.
All right. Cheers, guys. Take care.
Later.
Bye.